We now turn our attention to electronic consumer goods and electrical accessories manufacturer and distributor Amalgamated Appliance Holdings.
Market cap 386 million, so a small little stock. Price earnings 9.5, dividend yield 6.7, although they've been paying share premium, not dividend. It's got some tax issues, but bottom line, it's been cash coming your way. Anthony, I cheated here 2 weeks ago. You were in that seat. Hot Stoxx was amalgamated. I went and did some digging. I thought I need to pick your brain more on this. What I'm liking about them is they used to be manufacturing, and that crashed and burned. Now,
television manufacturing.
Television, which what people hold a TV for like 11 years
big
or something.
Big obsolescence risk in televisions.
And now they're doing it a whole lot smarter. Basically, they're an importer of brands, and they manufacture offshore and bring in and put their brands and top brands. What have we got? We've got names like Pineware, Hoover, Russell Hobbs, etc.
Yeah, it's a vastly different company to what it was. It's got a new management team in and essentially a new business model. And the market hasn't picked up on this, and this is quite exciting. The investment case rests on the fact that it's exceptionally cheap. They've got a large amount of cash on the balance sheet relative to its market cap. 163 million rands of the cash, market cap 371 million rand.
Yeah, so
of that 163 million rands of the cash, we think 75 million is superfluous to their needs. And we think that one of two things is going to happen. Well, they've told us one of two things are going to happen. One is that they're going to make some acquisitions, and they've got a number lined up that will be hugely earnings accretive. They're currently earning about just less than 6% in terms of interest, and they think they can buy companies on 3 to 5 times earnings. So that could have a real kicker in terms of, the utilization of that cash. The second thing is that they will do, if they can't make these acquisitions, is pay that cash out by way of special dividend, or increase the dividend cover.
I was checking that. If they paid it as dividend, that gives me a dividend yield of, ballpark figures.
It's about 36 cents a share. We think that they could pay out as a special dividend. So it's trading on 6 times earnings. If you strip out the cash, it's about 5 times earnings with a surplus cash. Mm-hmm. So if you like the retail theme and growth into Africa, you could buy Massmart on 26 times earnings, or ShopRite on 23 times earnings, or AMAP on 6 times earnings.
Okay, so looking at the operating margin, 7.8%. You're talking about possible acquisitions, space for this kind of margin to grow. Are you expecting double digits? Are you happy with 7.8?
We think that the margins will be muted in the short term, but will likely grow when they bring on the new focus or new area of business called Wiltshire, which is a new brand of houseware products. We think that's high margin business that will come in. Let me just talk a little bit more about the business model. One of the reasons why it's so cheap is the market is worried about the effect that Walmart might have on their business.
Walmart's going to take them into Africa.
Massmart accounts for about 35% of their business. Yeah. And we think that the risk of them being replaced by an in-house Walmart brand is low. These brands, Russell Hobbs, Sultan, Pineware, Hoover,
Tetlex, these are brands Africans have
been around with for generations. And we think that what will happen is that you might see a bit of margin pressure, but you'll be compensated through increasing volumes.
Walmart's going to source their product ultimately in the same place, China.
Yeah.
Just with a different brand on it. So in fact, if Walmart goes into Africa, they might help Amalgamated Appliances, in essence, take them with them into Africa.
Absolutely. So Amalgamated Appliances business model is really where they run an indent system. So they take their brand, go to essentially Walmart's factory in China, put their brand on a Walmart product, and import it directly to the mass retailer. So it doesn't go through a DC, AMAP's DC. What are the risks in this business? The risk is that the consumer doesn't pick up. I think that's probably already in the price. I think that there is a risk that possibly the Consumer Protection Act might cause them to increase provisions for warranties. I think the risk is that their new Wiltshire brand doesn't take off. We think that's a low risk. I think it's a low risk business. It's exceptionally well priced, and widely misunderstood by the market. And these types of businesses make great investments. Not maybe a sexy business, but we think this
For women it is.
of this
Russell
level
Hobbs indeed.
You've got a
is
Russell Hobbs
very,
weekend.
very sexy investment.
Yonatan, I want to come to you on the wall. I mean, the first trick is it's a low liquid stock, difficult to chart, although you did manage to get some. You can see some of the liquidity issues in it. Nice big upward trend, fell out of it.
It did, Simon, and I think that all the acquisitions that Anthony was alluding to has already been discounted and reflected in the price. And the fact that technical analysis looks forward 12 months ahead of time, and according to this chart, it really doesn't look like the market is liking what AMA is or future outlook for Amalgamated Appliances. We see the 200-day moving average was trending up for the most of 2009 to 2011, and only recently has started changing its direction with prices below that 200-day moving average, and even more recently at the 190 level, the 185 level, is huge resistance on that 200-day moving average. So we could see some more pressure on the downward.
Okay, and Yonatan, I've actually seen that I've noticed that you actually haven't included volume on this graph as well, so we can allude to the fact that liquidity isn't this fantastic.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Anthony, I want to come back to you. I mean, stronger for longer is the mantra for the rand for most people around here. Here's a company where a strong rand is going to help them because that whatever it is they're bringing in is going to be a little bit cheaper. Either they pass that on to the consumer, or they pass it on to their bottom line, or they split it. Bottom line, they like a strong rand.
Absolutely. It makes their products more affordable, and you can expect
Yeah.
to see that benefit come through in volumes.
And I know you think it's hot. Should I even ask you? Hot or not?
No, you have
Super
to
hot.
ask him. You have to ask
Super
him.
hot. Okay, so
Yonatan.
buy, hold right now.
Buy it. You've got to be patient with this thing. 2-3 years is going to reward you in spades.
Yonatan.
I think you can get the stock at a cheaper price.
Okay, so not hot for you.
Not hot for me.
Okay.
I like
So
it.
far you've been, agreeing with
An
each
agreement.
other.
No, we need some contrarian view here.
But again, Elaine, we must remember that Anthony is alluding to investments over over the next couple of years, whereas I'm looking at from a technical perspective, from a trading perspective. Can we get this? Can we pick up the stock cheaper? And in my mind, yes, you can.
Okay, in the short term, are
in
you
the
looking
shorter term, you can pick it up cheaper.
Okay.
Correct.
Fantastic.
I like it. I do like it. I like the concept. I like the thinking behind it. I like the fact that I found a stock that likes a strong rand because I think we're stronger for longer. The chart is worrisome. It just means I'll be a little bit clever with my buying.
Okay, now guess hot stock picks. Anthony's hot stock pick is Consolidated Infrastructure Group.
Yeah, this is an exciting little business.
Yeah. Formerly Buildworks Group.
Yeah. What we try and do often is try and identify industries where there's lots of tailwinds, and then we try and pick an operator within that industry that we think will do exceptionally well. Now, in sub-Saharan Africa, the electricity generating capacity roughly equals to that of Spain. Spain has 60 million people.
Wow.
Sub-Saharan Africa has 600 million people. And we think that in the next several years, massive amounts of money are going to be spent on electricity generation, but more importantly, transmission. This company does high voltage substation turnkey solutions.
Yeah.
What that means is they basically spec, procure, transport and implement and project manage high voltage substations and transmission lines. We think that Eskom will spend about 27 billion rand in the next 10 years, and municipalities another 26 billion rand. The World Bank thinks that sub-Saharan Africa will spend about $500 billion in the next 10 years on electricity generation and transmission. So this is a huge growth area and the best way to play African infrastructure. This company trades on 10 times earnings, and we think it will grow earnings at about in excess of 20% a year for the next 3 years. On top of that, there's two other businesses. One is Sandrift, which is an aggregates business, and the other is West Brick Clay. West Clay Brick, and those are kind of free options you have on resumption and construction activity. But really the investment case rests on a great operator with great tailwinds in a sector that we think will do very well.
Fantastic. Okay, Simon, hot or not for you?
I like it. African infrastructure gets me. That's what I'm interested in. Yonatan, we've got about 20 seconds. You couldn't get us a hot stock, but you bought us a Satrix 40.
I couldn't get you a hot stock, but I got you the Satrix 40 because I think it's important for the retail market to have a look at it. A lot of retail investors and traders are trading the stock as looking really a little bit weak for me, and I think that the critical level is the 27 Rand 40. So if it does break that level on the downside, I would expect the Satrix 40 to be trading a lot lower than where it is at the moment. Even though the RSI is sitting in the oversold territory, it's often said that a market can remain illogical a lot longer than we can remain solvent. So it can remain.
What's the smart money doing?
No, I haven't plotted the smart money. I think it's I haven't even looked at the volume chart. I just looked at the acceleration of the downtrend of the Satrix 40 at the moment.
Simon, hot or not, Satrix 40?
No, that's a scary looking chart, bottom line.
Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this edition of Hot Stoxx. Much appreciated for your time and your insights. Anthony Durham from Cogito Capital, Yonatan Rom from The Winning Edge, and a big goodbye from my co-host, Simon Brown, from Just One Lap, and from Yeleni Jokos, it's also goodbye.